Norseman Live is brought to you by Isklar, Intersport, Windforce, Bundegruppen, and Renault.
Good morning and welcome back to Norway, where we are bringing you the Norseman Extreme Triathlon. Over 4.5 hours have gone since almost 300 athletes jumped into the water in Eidfjord, and we're here at Dyranut, which is the first support point on the cycle course. As you can see, the athletes are coming up here behind me on the bikes. We're about 30 or so kilometres into the race at this point, and we've had a steady stream of them coming through here since we arrived here a couple of hours ago. So what we did was we recorded when the leaders came through. We'll be showing you that a little bit later on. Earlier on, it was very, very cold here. It was very, very misty here. So we had athletes coming out of the mist at high speed. And at that point, when you're at the front of the race and you're taking part in the World Championship race, they weren't stopping. They weren't hanging around. They weren't doing anything. They were just zipping through here. We saw one or two of them putting a jacket on to deal with the cold. But as you can see now, the mist is pretty much gone from behind us. It's bright sunshine here. And the cyclists are very much in bare arms and that kind of thing. The temperature is rising slowly here. So they're absolutely beautiful conditions. So the sun is behind us here, but we might ask our cameraman Kalle to back up a little bit and we go and have a little bit of a word with some of the support teams here. As you can see, they have everything with them. They have drinks bottles, they have jackets, they have clothing, they have everything here. We might stop with this young lady who's standing here looking very apprehensive. Hi there, we're live for Norseman TV. Who are you and who are you supporting today?
I'm Karen, I'm supporting my mom today.
Your mum, how's your mum doing? Have you any idea how she's getting on out there in the course?
I think she's doing okay. She's best at swimming, so we have been a little bit scared of the bike course, but I think she's doing great.
Okay. And what's your plan? Did you speak about this with her last night of what she'd want when she gets...
so many plans. The goal is to finish today, so we're doing everything. Now she's a little bit cold, so we have to change socks, but we have good communication while she's going, so I think it's going great.
Cool. And what have you got in the bottle there?
Sports drink.
Okay, so that's electrolytes and that kind of thing.
We have to keep her, but now I think she's...
Okay, that's fine. You do what you do. We'll just hang around with you here once we watch her coming in now.
Oh, it's not her.
It's not her, okay. Who is your mom? Let's tell the world who she is.
She's amazing. She's very strong and she's trained very good this year to complete this thing. So
what's her name and where is she from?
Nina Nygaard Magnussen is her name.
That sounded very Norwegian to me.
Yes, it's Norwegian.
What part of Norway is she from?
From the west, southwest, I think.
From the southwest of Norway. It's
close to Stavanger.
Okay, it's a beautiful part of the country. Rains a lot down there, but
so it's good to train bike and much hills and stuff. So yes,
it most surely is. Thank you very much for talking to us. This is the highest point on the cycle course. But that's not to say that is the last climb, that they've done the last climb here. So it goes up and down and up and down. But first now they're coming into a plateau, which is around the Hardangervidda National Park. So that's sort of off to the south of us here, I think it is, as we stand, right? So what happens is there are several climbs after this long plateau. Then there are several climbs after this. And each climb is worse than the last climb, right? So it gets more and more difficult as time goes on. And that is, the essence of it. We're just going to see our mum just coming in here now. Maybe we can we'll focus the camera on what's going on here. Sport drink and socks is the tip here for athlete 132. Little bit of stiffness in the muscles there, perhaps. Yeah, we're going to have a quick little break here as the socks are changed, that kind of thing. And there's a bathroom in here behind us. This is why we're at Dyranut, the Fjellstuva, the mountain cabin as it's called here behind us. And all morning they've had breakfast on sale and they've had coffee on sale. Now, very few of the cyclists are using that, but they are running into the bathroom on occasion here. There's people stopping here to use the facilities that are here. One of the things that is not really apparent from the road at the moment, but the traffic here is amazing, right? 280 odd athletes, bikes, support teams. Everybody has to have the help that Nina's getting now as they go along. And then what happens is the cars park behind the cabin here, and then they move on. So at the moment, we're sort of somewhere in the middle of the race, and a lot of people are here. They stop here for 10, 15, 20 minutes, as long as it takes their athlete to get here. There's 2-person support teams, so one will usually stand a little bit further to the left of the camera, and they'll communicate a little bit with the athlete as they come in and say, what do you need, in case there's anything that's stuck in a car or in a plastic box somewhere. So then they'll hand over whatever food and drinks are necessary, make whatever adjustments to the bike. We can see she's a little bit cold here, so the socks are going on here. The timing chip down around the left ankle. She's good to go. She's good to go. A few words of encouragement now, and she's back up on the bike, and there she goes. It'll be a little while before they see her again. That pit stop seemed to go pretty well. Is she very happy there?
Yeah, I'm happy. I think it's going okay.
It's going okay?
Yes, it's going okay.
That's brilliant. Thanks for talking to us. We'll let you get back, and we'll see you at the next time station. Bye-bye now. So yeah, that's how it looks here at the moment. Athletes just coming through in a steady stream. The field is quite spread out now, and you would have seen that if you were watching the swimming a little bit earlier on. We have plenty of viewers who are watching the swimming earlier on from Eidfjord, and we're welcoming all our new viewers now. People are just getting up and having their breakfast here in Western Europe and catching up with what is the greatest and the most extreme triathlon on the face of the earth. I can tell you that the temperature of the water there this morning was about 17 degrees. The temperature is rising steadily here. There's no need for hats or for scarves or any of that kind of thing. So, it's a beautiful day for this. Now, it's not going to affect the cyclists. The heat is not going to affect the cyclists, but it may affect them when it starts to run. And I can also tell you that Hardangervidda, the man who won last year but was disappointed not to break the world record, he's doing really, really well. He came in here among the top 3 cyclists and left here very, very quickly indeed. I don't think he stopped at all. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do now, right? Let's have a look back over what happened at around about 5 o'clock this morning in Eidfjord when this great race got underway for 2019. And I can also tell you that Hardangervidda, the man who won last...
And hi there, it's Stuart McLeod here, and we're just going back to recap on what was happening earlier on today. We can see images again of some of the swimmers in the yellow caps who are doing the Norseman race, jumping off the ferry into the Hardangervidda, just congregating for the start. Some spectacular images. We can see Eidfjord. The swimmers all positioning themselves ready to start Norseman 2019. At this stage, most of these swimmers were just going to be thinking about getting themselves in the water, feeling comfortable and setting themselves up for a long day. 3.8 kilometre swim, followed by 180 kilometre bike, and then the small matter of a mountain marathon 42.2 kilometre run. So seeing some incredible images here of the iconic jump from the ferry and athletes really just getting themselves in the water and getting themselves ready for the day. Some really beautiful images we're seeing here of the jump. So just to recap then, we have the X-Tri World Championship race and the Norseman race. 2 separate races today. The X-Tri World Championship race, swimmers will be wearing green caps, and the Norseman race, the swimmers will be wearing yellow caps. The X-Tri World Championship race will start 5 minutes ahead of the Norseman race. So there's 2 separate races incorporated into the one race. So we're seeing some beautiful images here over the ferry, looking down towards Eidfjord in the distance. And a lot of the athletes really just getting themselves set up. We're now looking here at it seems to be the main field, and we can see the green caps, which is the X-Tri World Championship field. Just jumping back to the Norseman swimmers lining up for the start, just getting themselves in the water and getting themselves ready for what's going to be a long day. We're now back looking at the ferry jump, and the last of the athletes getting in the water. So we can see here at the X-Tri World Champs field, swimmers just making their way up through the fjord. Yep, we can see the green cap swimmers, which is the X-Tri World Championship swimmer race, getting themselves comfortable. And some nice images from above looking down onto this is some of the faster swimmers we can see. Probably just getting themselves positioned, swimming in a pack, probably just trying to draft, get onto feet. And we're looking here, just to recap there, and this is Mark Threadfeld from the UK, from Bath. Mark is a fantastic swimmer, and looks like Mark's been exiting the water in a very, very fast swim, possibly maybe one of the fastest swims we've seen at Norseman. And back up through the field then, we can see some of these swimmers here in the Norseman field, very fast swimmers. We have some people in that race that will be possibly coming into the field actually, and probably as quick as some of these people that are racing at the front in the elite field. We have images here coming now of Mark Threadfeld, who was the first swimmer out. He's now exiting transition 1, getting onto the bike. We see Mark's wearing his reflective vest, and he's got lights on his bikes, which is mandatory for Norseman, for safety. And Mark is just negotiating his way out of transition 1. And we're now seeing a view of this is the athletes leave the water, and they're heading into the transition point where they make the switch from swim. And what they're thinking about here is getting their wetsuits off and then getting ready for the bike. So we're seeing images here of number 45 back with Mark Threadfeld leading out onto the bike. We can see there Mark's sitting comfortably, looking really nice and smooth on the bike. He's riding a time trial bike, a triathlon bike, and you can see really nice position there on the bike. Nice smooth cadence and nice turnover. Mark's a very experienced triathlete. And we're now coming back. We see Alan Hovda, who has won Norseman 3 times, and Alan is favourite for the race today. He's now out of the swim in transition now and getting himself ready to get onto the bike. Alan's really determined to put in a fast race today. He's getting his aerodynamic helmet on, getting himself ready for today. But we can see Mark Threadfeld is out in front. Mark's just looks like he's taken on a gel really early, just keeping his nutrition, keeping on top of that, and just keeping himself fueled as he's riding towards the first climb, which is up towards Dyranut. It's a 40-kilometre climb. It goes from sea level up to around 1,400 metres or so. It's a really difficult part of the race where athletes are just getting settled into the bike and then just really getting themselves set up for today. They'll be heading up through the beautiful area of Voringfossen and Mabel Valley. It's a spectacular there. And now we're seeing some of the other athletes in the X-Tri World Championship race with the green caps exiting the water there. And we can see a lot of the supporters and spectators on the jetty in Edfjord. Some of the swimmers here really just trying to find their feet. This when you go from having been in the swim, it's sometimes quite difficult to exit and stand up. You're sometimes slightly disorientated at this stage. We're seeing the athletes there moving up out of the swim. And you can see some fantastic swims from some of the athletes actually in the Norseman field and the yellow caps. They'll be swimming in the Norseman race, and some of these athletes are actually moving through the X-Tri World Championship field, which is quite incredible. So we're seeing a lot of the athletes coming in now, maybe identifying now some. There's Flora College, who's one of the favourites for the race, exiting there. Flora looking strong. Flora has won Swissman. Fantastic athlete. And we're now seeing Emma White. So Emma White from Scotland, Emma having a really good swim there. And I think that'll set Emma up for a really good day. I've seen some of the athletes here maybe coming out and just trying to get themselves together. So it's just slightly difficult when you're transitioning from that swim and getting yourself ready to get onto the bike. Obviously keeping hydrated, which is important. We're also seeing the athletes here with their support team. So just a little bit about the support team. These athletes are required to have support, and this is really important for these athletes to have your support team there. Your support team will be looking after you all day, and you can see the support team there helping the athletes in transition. I mean, getting all set up, getting their reflective vests on, putting their numbers on, and then just getting them set up before they start heading out onto what is an extremely tough bike course. So athlete just getting together and getting the time trial helmet on, and that's number 12, that's Julian Montgomery. Julia's from Stockholm, and she will probably be one of the favourites today. She's a very strong athlete, heading out onto the field. So just carefully leaving transition onto the bike. And we're seeing some of the marshals helping some of the athletes out of the water. Yep, just checking everyone's getting safely onto their feet and moving on through transition. And we can see a lot of the spectators there, friends and family, just watching their loved ones exit the water. We're looking back down through the swim now, so these athletes have been in the water for over an hour, and they're just getting themselves ready now for getting out and getting their wetsuits off, getting themselves onto their bikes, maybe getting some drinks, bit of hydration, and getting set up to head out onto the bike course. So just to recap then on today, for those of you that don't really know what Norseman is all about. Norseman, the toughest X-Tri on the planet. These athletes will be swimming 3.8k. They're going to move on to a 180 kilometre bike, a very tough bike with lots and lots of climb. Elevation profile is approximately 3,000 metres for Norseman, and then they'll move on to a 42.2 kilometre flat run for the first stage, and then on to a mountaintop finish at Gaustatoppen. So a total distance of 226 kilometres, which is 140 miles. So we're just seeing some images here of the Norseman race and some of these athletes just getting out and steadying themselves into transition, trying to get themselves ready to exit the wetsuit. We're seeing their Scottish athlete in the green, Mary Meldrum, just exiting the water there. And we can see now the athletes are coming in now, thick and fast, which is great. We're seeing lots coming in now. So, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for that recap, Stuart. Now, as we said at the top of the show, there's no studio, there's no safety net, there's no second takes here. But, you know, I wouldn't feel too sorry for us as it is, because right now we're indoors in this mountain cabin that is here at Dyranut. And as you can see, some of the functionaries here, some of the crew here are using the time, the downtime here to catch up a little bit and to eat just a little bit. One of the very popular dishes, as you can see, there's all sorts of pancakes on the go here. We've this huge, wonderful Norwegian breakfast spread. There we go. Here's a gentleman who's that's carb loading for the afternoon if ever I saw it. We've got loads of boiled eggs here. There's all sorts of meats and cheeses. There's a very sort of famous thing here. I don't know if we can get a little bit of a shot of this. This is what they call brunost, which is Norwegian brown cheese. I've never eaten it because it just looks like that kind of thing I wouldn't do. But I'm sure all these Norwegians are going to give out to me now for that. And as we make our way further outside, we have the pancakes there. The pancakes have been very popular this morning. Coffee, right? Every single support team that has come through has gone to the cash register here, and they've been here and they've taken away as much coffee as they can carry. Let's go back outside and see what's happening with the support crews who are out here. Just open this door here. and we'll head back out into the bright sunshine. As I said, the temperatures are rising here all day, and it was very, very misty when we got here. So if we look down the road here past this support car, we couldn't see anything down here when we got here a couple of hours ago, right? So it was just completely covered in mist, and we could see cyclists just appearing out of the mist at the very last second. Now you can actually see a cyclist there, maybe 300 metres away, and we can see them instantaneously pretty much as soon as they come over the crest of that hill. We'll stand here. There aren't too many support crews left at this point in time, so that means that most of the athletes are making pretty good time along the course. We heard that there was a few athletes who suffered a little bit on the swim. The swim, of course, very difficult technically for those who aren't great swimmers. It can be difficult for them to sort of make the first cut-off point. I think virtually everybody made it. There was one athlete who was very close to it, who then got up on their bike, and then all of a sudden they were able to win back some time. So that tells us that the cycling conditions here today are really, really good. There's a very gentle breeze just coming over from this direction here. It's cooling them down just a little bit, and we'll see now as this athlete decides not to get involved in the support at all. She's just going to go straight through there without getting anything, but you can see there that she has, her arms are bare there, right? So that means that will tell you that it's not too cold. A little bit earlier on, we saw some of the athletes putting on jackets when they got here, and that causes a few problems, because if you look at this athlete coming in here now, you can see the green fluorescent vest, which is there for safety reasons, right? She's pulling in now. She has a support team there. Let's move a little bit closer and we can see what she's getting. There's a pair of sunglasses coming out there. So we have a pair of sunglasses. We have a jacket there as well in the support crew's hand, but she won't. It doesn't look like she'll be taking that. There's a couple of bits and pieces there, some paper towels, and swapping out some drinks. You can see they're just filling up there. There's a straw on the front of the bike. How are we doing?
Nice to see that. It's a monster, but I'm not finished.
There's still a long way to go. What's the weather conditions like there? You're not too warm out on the course, no?
It's freezing because I live in Dubai.
Oh, okay, if you live in Dubai, it's about to be pretty cold. But
it's amazing.
And the water this morning for the swim?
It was all right, actually.
It wasn't too bad.
Well, you know.
Everything.
Swim 8 lady yachts.
Everything is relative when it comes to water temperature here.
I just hope I finish. Hi, everyone who knows me.
There you go. Don't worry, we'll be there to see you finish at the end, one way or the other.
That's awesome, thanks.
And
they are awesome too.
This is it. It's all about the support crews here. We have water bottles. We have. That's okay. That's what we're here for. We want to get right in the middle of it. There you go. It's better to be looking at it than looking for it at this point. Yeah, exactly. The best of luck. Hit it hard. Ciao. There we go. Thank you. There we go. Athlete number 104. We have no start list here. One final consultation. So the point that we're at here at Dyranut is one of those famous points along the course, right? This is the start of a plateau that goes on for quite some time, and it can leave the riders very, very exposed up this sort of plateau. So if the wind is blowing from left to right, or if it's raining, as it has done many times through the Norseman's history, it's a real test of strength and of will and of character and of the desire to get to Gaustatoppen and to get that black t-shirt that so many people here today will want. The field is thinned out somewhat now, so we had a couple of leaders come in first. We had the leading pack, if you like, coming in first. They are, of course, taking part in the Xtri World Championship race, a race within a race here today. So they came through first. Then we had this sort of a major bunch of people coming through. A little bit, if it was in a cycling race, you call it the Peloton, right? There was a lot of people coming through all at once. And at that point then, the traffic here was chaos. So you'll have, these support cars, you'll see them pulling up here. This car is pulling off now, so their athlete is coming soon. This could even be somebody in the crew there with their orange vest on. Now, you see, this is what happens, is the fun and games with the traffic. This looks like a local person who's just driven past there in that Volkswagen there. But you have to make a quick decision as to whether you're going to pull in and park on the right-hand side here, or if you're going to go into the left-hand side here, and it's pretty tight. Remember, we've some 280 athletes who are out around the course, so if all those support cars were to park here at one time, we're just not going to be able to manage it, so a lot of them end up driving up behind the mountain cabin here that we were just talking to you from. So they park over there, they bring down their stuff in plastic boxes, they bring down their bottles, they bring down their clothes. You'll often see somebody standing there with their 4 fingers spread apart and different jackets and tops hanging off them depending on what the rider needs. So a lot of this would have been gone through last night. They would have said, okay, if the temperature is X, if the wind is blowing from this direction, I'm going to need this or this or this. Indeed, we saw Nina there, the Norwegian athlete, who needed a new pair of socks, so she had to take off her cycling shoes, her cycling cleats, and put on the socks and pull them back on again. Now, for certain athletes, that's not going to make any sort of a difference whatsoever. But for an elite triathlon athlete, that's going to be a little bit problematic because the transitions are absolutely everything in this sport. We've had the first transition, and the second transition is a little bit further along. Here we have an athlete who's looking pretty strong, doesn't look like he needs any support at all. He's rolling on, and most of the crowd have moved on now. So for the spectators who are watching this race today and are coming out in their hundreds, they were here a little bit earlier on this morning. So when they come out, they want to follow the whole race. So we spoke to some people who had stayed here and they were moving on throughout the day. So they'll stay here, they'll see the people that they know, or as many of them as possible, and then they'll move on to the next point where they'll stop and they'll applaud them again. But that little bit of applause, ladies and gentlemen, it is unbelievable what it means to the athletes. I've seen so many of them come to here with a grim look of determination on their face, and that little bit of applause and that little bit of cheering that they get from the crowd, their faces just light up under their bicycle helmets, and off they go again. And thankfully there's a little bit of a downhill run from there. As you can see on the cars that are passing by here, there's a yellow sticker on the front of the cars with the support crew. The support crew are part of the team, right? You might only see one person on this bicycle right here, but he is part of a team, and it's very, very important that the support crew behaves in the right way, because if they misbehave here, if they were to just park their car here and start doing their thing for their athlete, right, they could get them disqualified. If they're to litter on the course, they can have their athlete disqualified. If they get in the way of another athlete, they can have their athlete disqualified. So they're going to be very, very careful here. They're going to obey the rules of the road. There was a long meeting for them yesterday to tell them exactly what they could and they couldn't do. And indeed there was a meeting for us in the media yesterday about safety and that kind of thing, because this, what we have to do now when we're done talking to you in a little while, is we have to get to our next point where we're going to broadcast to you again. But of course we have to pass out all these people on bicycles, and maybe by that time some of them are running on the open road as well. These are open roads. There's no roads closed for this event. You cannot close 220 odd kilometres of roads on a Norwegian Saturday afternoon. So the general public is driving past here. I've seen cars with German registrations driving back home after their summer vacations, so we have to be very, very careful to make sure that we behave in a safe manner out there as well. But so far we've had no reports of anything going wrong out on the course. We've had no reports of any injuries, and it has been a tremendous day so far. If we see, I'm not sure we can see from Callie's camera there, but there's actually a little bit of low mist hanging almost under us at this point in time. I'm not sure if we can see that in the distance there. So it is quite variable along the course. So we're not really sure. The mist sort of to the east of here, this race goes from west to east. It hasn't been that bad. It did burn off reasonably quickly. It was there, it disappeared first, and now it's sort of spreading this way, that the mist is clearing on this lovely, bright summer Saturday here in Norway. It seems to have thinned out just a little bit as a few trucks pass us by there. There's still quite a few support cars around the place. The riders, I can tell you, are not allowed to have headphones on when they are cycling. So they're not allowed to have anything that's going to disturb them or take their mind off the task at hand. So that makes it a little bit difficult for them to communicate with their support teams. Now, the support team can stop along the road and they can have the briefest of brief conversations along the road. But until this point, this is the first point where proper support is allowed, where they're allowed to get drinks and that kind of thing. The reason for that, again, is safety. The first part of the cycling course, as you will have seen from our motorbike cameras a little bit earlier on, it's what they call the old road. And on the old road, it's very, very tight. It's very, very twisty and turny. There's nowhere to stop. As we see an athlete coming in here. There is support available. This athlete has no interest in support. That little bit of applause there again, worth its weight in gold. And now we're starting to see a pickup in the stream of athletes who are coming in towards the support station here. We did see a few officials from the race around here a little bit earlier on that we were going to try to talk to, but they have disappeared off to the next point. So we'll catch up with them a little bit along the way. But they seem to be of the impression, I think the temperature that they gave for the water this morning was 16.4 degrees. And I think one of them was saying to me that you can no longer refer to this as being an extreme triathlon. Yep. So a little bit earlier on this morning when we got here, I was describing the weather conditions, that they were a little bit different, and there was a few more support teams there. There was a little bit more life around here then. So we talked to a couple of people then. We recorded the interviews, and we're going to show you them now, just to give you a flavour of what it was like when the first athletes started to come through here this morning. Okay, we are at Dyranut, which is one of the support points here along the race. We're standing with the sun behind us. It's been a misty morning, tough conditions out here. We're standing with one of the support teams for one of the athletes, and we're going to ask her who she is and who she's supporting right here this morning.
My name is Oana, and I'm supporting Ulf. We're from Germany, Munich, and he should be here any moment now.
Tell me, you have a bunch of stuff in your hands there for Ulf. What have you got for him?
Because I have no idea what he needs because it's freezing cold. So I have a jacket, a vest, something for his arms, for his knees, gloves, everything.
Do you have like drinks or food or anything?
My husband has the drinks up front, but he has to tell him to stop here.
Okay, so your husband is going to tell Ulf he's got to stop for support.
Yeah.
Then he runs up here with the drinks while you
Exactly.
get Ulf dressed for the rest of the course.
Exactly.
How stressful is it to be standing here?
A bit. I'm shaking, and I'm hoping this goes well because this is the first stop for today.
And tell me, how do you sort of keep contact with Ulf? Is this all decided last night? Okay, at the first point, this is what we're going to need, that kind of thing?
Well, Ulf is a very organized type of person, so he's been talking about this for the last months or weeks and organizing. But yeah, we did go through every single step last night again.
How are your own personal preparations? Because it's not a lot of action, but you've got to be on the money when these things happen, right?
Well, we tried to sleep. That was pretty much our preparation. I mean, there's nothing more you can do.
But in terms of, do you know now what you want to do when you get to the next stop and the next stop and the next stop along the line?
Yeah, I have a list. I have it all written down, what he needs, and yeah. So we're just going to go through that list.
Yeah. We've actually seen a little bit of a change here today, as I'm sure you can see from the camera. We're getting a bit more strong sunlight on our backs. It's getting a little bit warmer here.
Yeah.
How hard is it to predict what things are going to be like here in Norway?
Pretty hard. I mean, when he left this morning, when he got out of the water, he was convinced he wouldn't need anything because it was going to be so warm. Now it got cold. Now it might get really warm in 5 minutes again once he's down there again. So, no idea. Yeah.
And what's the goal of Team Ulf for the day? Where do you guys want to wind up? What do you want to achieve for the whole day?
Definitely black finisher shirt. So finishing up on Gaustatoppen.
We'll see you up there a little bit later on. Thanks very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
There we go. We're going to stick with the support teams here for a little while and see what's happening. Plenty of cyclists coming by now. We've had the first male competitors, the first female competitors, and this day is brightening up beautifully. There we go. I am standing here with Marius, and Marius, there's a lot of people wearing the same jacket as you guys. Could you tell me where you're from and what you're doing here?
Well, this is the Oregon 18 Tri Team from Norway. So we have some athletes in the race, and of course cheering for all the others. So it's a good day.
It's a big day for you guys. How many athletes are in the race from your team?
We have 3 in the race from the team, but I also represent Oregon 18, the bike brand. So we got a lot of bikes in the race. So at the moment we're leading, so it's good times.
Well, as somebody who knows a lot about bikes, maybe you can tell me a little bit about 2 things, right? One is the change in temperature. When we arrived here, it was quite cold, but now the sun is coming up and it's getting warm. What's that going to do to the cyclists? Because there's a lot of climbs to come on this path, right?
Yeah, but I don't think the temperature over the plateau and before the end, where all the hills are, is going to be any challenge for them, because they're driving at so hard pace or high speeds that they're getting cooled down. So I think the heat will start to kick in when they're starting the run. Yeah.
So you're not too worried about them, because of course this part of Norway that we're in now, this is just the start of a plateau, so they're kind of exposed. There's a little bit of a breeze there to keep them cool and that kind of thing. So
sure.
Yep. What are you going to do with your day? What time did you guys set out for Dyranut this morning?
We actually stayed here, so.
And here is one of Marius's athletes who's just appeared here.
No, that's not mine.
That's not one of yours, but they just jumped right into the middle.
We cheer anyway.
Great to see that sense of sport. Well, you stayed here at Dyranut last night.
Yeah. So we started at 6 o'clock this morning and just got prepared. So we're soon going to jump in the cars and follow the athletes.
And you'll follow them all the way to the end to Gaustad?
Sure.
Marius, thank you very much for talking to us. Enjoy your day, and I hope it goes great for your athletes.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
There you go. That is Marius from Norway here. There's a load of people there, as you can see. They're all wearing the same jacket there, supporting Norwegian athletes, and indeed one of the makes of bike that is on display out here on this road all the way across the plateau as they make their way towards Gaustatoppen and the black shirt that everybody hopes to take home. There you go. That's just some of the reactions that we got a little bit earlier today, when you would have seen that it was a lot cloudier, it was a lot mistier here, and things looked a whole lot different. But right now we have bright sunshine burning down on us here at Dyranut. And you can see in the background, this is where we were inside the last time we came back to, right? This is the lovely little sort of cafe, the lovely little mountain cabin that we were in a little bit earlier on here. And it's just a spot on the road in this beautiful, beautiful landscape here in Norway. It's a tremendous place to be in terms of tourism, because like, it's really hard to describe. You'll have seen it this morning from Eidfjord, the natural beauty of this place between Eidfjord and Gaustatoppen, which is where we will finish the race a little bit later on. It has to be seen to be believed. There's all sorts of waterfalls and fjords, and it's incredible. It's breathtaking how beautiful it is, and it honestly doesn't matter how many times you see it. It takes your breath away every single time. We flew into Bergen Airport yesterday and came west towards Eidfjord, and now we're making our way. Sorry, we came east towards Eidfjord, and now we're making our way east again for the end of this race. And as you can see, there's caravans passing behind us. Not everything here has to do anything to do with something that is in the race. We're going to try to make our way back to the far side of the road now and see if we can find somebody to talk to. Let's have a little wander across here. Quite quiet today. In the local press and in local media, they try to sort of announce the fact that this race is taking place. So locals who have any sense whatsoever, they'll be sitting at home, they'll be watching this broadcast on YouTube rather than getting themselves out on the road today and getting involved in this. There's everybody's just stepping out of the way. They're afraid to have a microphone stuffed under their nose there. So that's like, well, do we have somebody who wants to speak to us here? No. See, this is the thing. Everybody's very cocky until you get a microphone put under your nose here. But she's participating next year. So she's just here as part of her research for next year. These people are our wonderful crew here. You can see from the orange vests and that kind of thing. Come on over here. You'll have to tell us about your plans for next year. This is the thing. Now, you made the mistake of opening your mouth first here, okay? That's how you always wind up in front of the microphone. Tell me what your name is and what you're doing here.
I'm Freydis, and I'm part of the crew.
Yes, and part of the crew for the race or for an athlete?
For the race.
For the race. And what's your job? What job have you got here today?
My job was in T1, so I made sure that everyone had their lights on and the reflective vest.
Yep.
Yeah, that was my job.
Did you have to sort of have a go at anybody?
A lot of people forgot to turn the lights on.
That's amazing. Well, I suppose even, though the sun is shining today, you still need it for safety purposes. You don't know if this weather's going to change.
Yeah, and in the tunnels, it's really important that they have light both in front and in the back.
Yeah, when we were driving up here to bring you this part of the show, there's some very, very dark and some very, very long tunnels as well if you're going to be on a bike. Do you participate in triathlons, that kind of thing yourself?
Nah, but maybe next year. I'm kind of figuring it out now.
You didn't sound entirely convinced when you said, yeah.
Swimming is my, I can't swim, so I have 1 year.
And judging by your name, are you from Norway, you are?
Yeah, I'm from, here.
From this part of the world. Okay. How big is this race for local people here? Because it started like 16, 17 years ago. How big of a part of the local culture is the first Saturday in August?
For Eidfjord, it's huge. The whole town is involved in creating this event.
And is it one of those things now that people sort of start to resent it? Because yesterday there was just triathlon people everywhere. And I kind of felt sorry for the locals if they wanted to go to the Thai food place or something.
No, they love it. They love it.
Tell me a little bit about tourism around here. Did you grow up in Eidfjord?
No, I grew up in the eastern parts of Norway.
Okay.
But my husband is from here.
Okay.
And tourism is very important for this region.
The thing about Eidfjord is it's very, very beautiful, but it's quite small. What do people do when they come here?
Tourists?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of different people coming here, but mostly from, for example, if you're Chinese, it's huge to come up here and see snow. So they come in with ferries and they bus up here and see snow and they're like, take a photo and then go back.
They get back on the ferry and they leave again. But there's also a very sort of a popular thing of what they call fjällvandring in Swedish, where you just sort of walk through these mountains, these beautiful fjords and that kind of thing. Is that a popular thing in this part of the world?
Yeah. It's popular.
So if we get onto your participation in Norseman next year, how are you going to prepare for this?
I have to train.
I got to change that question to how much respect do you get for these athletes?
A lot of respect. A lot of respect. I can't even.
That's great. Thanks very much for talking to us today, and the best of luck with next year's event. That's great.
Thank you.
There we go. As I said, the local crew are absolutely brilliant, and the local people here have really taken this race to their hearts since it started. One of the craziest ideas you've ever heard. And also an absolutely perfect extreme triathlon distance. Around about 220 kilometres in total between the swim, 180-kilometre bike ride, and the marathon on top of that. Now, I believe that we have some pictures from a little bit earlier today to bring you, so we'll round off from here and we'll talk to you again in just another little while.
Hi there, it's back to Stuart McLeod for Norseman. We're just seeing images of, this is one of the elite field, who's I think he's currently in Dyranut, which is the first support section. He's just getting back on his bike now. His support team kind of applauding him, cheering him on, heading out onto the course along the National Road 7 on the plateau of the Hardangervidda. So we're back on the road. We're seeing some of the riders riding up the first section towards Dyranut. You can see some riders here are riding road bikes here with sports handlebars, whereas we might find some other riders are riding time trial bikes with a different front end setup. You'll find probably the more experienced riders will be riding the time trial setup, much like we see here, whereas some other riders may go more for comfort, riding with sports bars in a traditional road bike setup, which might be more comfortable. I mean, it's all about being comfortable. 180 kilometers on the bike, which will take some of these athletes, the very fastest riders, will be covering this in close to 5 hours, which is incredible riding. And some of the riders further down the field could be in excess of 7-8 hours even. So we can see one of the riders here just riding up. We can see obviously there's cars coming along, support teams watching the riders, just keeping an eye on the riders coming up the road. I see one of the riders here riding time trial setup, looking comfortable and looking down on the old road, the beautiful backdrop of the Mabo Valley. You can see some beautiful footage here of the riders on that first climb. And just to give you an idea with this area of the race, when you leave the transition point, transition 1 after the swim, and then you have an approach to Dyranut, approximately 40 kilometers of riding uphill. Some of the gradients anywhere between 15%, even as much as 25% for short periods of time. Riders who decide to go out too fast, too early, will certainly suffer at some point later in the day. So the conditions up on the plateau, on the Hardangervidda, we can see it's slightly cloudy and foggy, but it's looking like the sun's going to come through and it's going to make for a nice day after this burns off. It's quite possibly later in the day the temperatures are going to lift. We can see also that the wind's blowing up here, but the wind speed's relatively low for today. There's one of the riders, it's Marcus Elvedal, who's one of the favourites riding through there. There's one of the elite riders coming through there as well. That looked like Alan Hovda coming through there as well. And we have one of the other elite riders here, which that looks like the support team just helping him get more clothing on. It can be quite predictable up on the plateau. It can be cold. It's obviously much higher up. Support team just helping get nutrition and get some more clothing on here at Dyranut. So it's cutting back to images here, heading up through the tunnels up towards Dyranut. Spectacular section of the race as you move up through. There's the old road, and then you move up through a number of tunnels up onto the plateau. A lot of support team watching as people and the riders are going along on the course. Some people actually finding it quite a tough day out already. Just turning over, making sure that they're just keeping their cadence going and keeping momentum It's important early on in the bike that you don't try and push too hard. I'm sure a lot of these athletes will be finding this first climb quite tough. I think there's just a sense of really just trying to get comfortable, not pushing too hard too early. It's always easy to get maybe a bit too excited at the start, but I think it's just really all about getting yourself into a nice rhythm, feeling comfortable in the bike, getting the gears right, nice and smooth on the gearing, not pushing too hard a gear. Seeing some beautiful images down onto the old road along an area called Voringfossen, spectacular area of the Mabo Valley. I've seen one of the riders here, number 285. That's Warren Applegate from the UK. And Warren's obviously just spinning. You can see here he's riding in his small front chain ring, a 39 chain ring, which makes sense on these climbs. It just shows you how tough this first climb is. You can see some of the athletes spinning away, and we're cutting across now onto the X-Tri World Champs race, and we can see the riders on the plateau spinning along at speed, really moving along and getting momentum. It's going to be a long day out for these athletes. 180 kilometers of biking. It's not an easy thing to be doing. Some of the athletes here coming through the tunnels heading up onto the plateau. This 40-kilometer section is really tough when you're heading from Edfjord up to Dyranut. And we can see that the tunnel's actually closed. We can see the cars that are moving up alongside their athletes. They're not able to give support at this stage, but they're really just moving up through the field to make sure that they meet up with their athletes up at the first support area up towards Dyranut. And we're on the old road here. Beautiful old road, it's spectacular. So just to go across to where we're at and on the race, at the front of the field, what we've seen today, we have, as we'd expected, we have the favourite Alan Hovda, who's up at the front of the field with Hans Christian Tugsvik and Marcus Elvedal. Those three guys seem to be really stretching it out, riding really strong. We also have a number of other athletes that we expected to be challenging near the front, but there now is a gap emerging where we're definitely seeing the favourites for the race really pushing ahead. We can see here, this is the Norseman race. So this is the Norseman race, not the X-Tri World Championship race, but this is the main Norseman race. And we're seeing here the athlete Joe Ringheim from Norway out in front. This is at the bike split at Degali. And then he seems to be riding really, really strong at this stage. Athletes from all over the world here we can see. Lots of different countries here racing today. There's such a cross section as well of different types of athletes here. What you'll find is there'll be some athletes here doing the triathlon that are really strong swimmers, and obviously they'll get ahead early in the race, and then you'll find some really stronger bike riders and they'll start to take control there. But triathlon is all about 3 disciplines, some might say 4, including the transition points. but it's important that you maintain your strength through all these disciplines. We're moving again to the front of the field, which is the X-Tri World Championship race, and what we're now seeing from the feed here, and as we expected, we're seeing Hans Christian Tugsvig out at the front with Alan Hovda, who we've said was one of the favourites for the race. Alan's won Norseman 3 times, and Marcus Elvedal, Norwegian. Also, it's looked like a Norwegian 1 to 5 at the moment at the front of the X-Tri World Championship race. Absolutely dominant from the Norwegians. Looking further down through the field, we're seeing other winners from some of the other X-Tri Tour races. So a number of really strong athletes there starting to move through the field as well. But we're definitely seeing a gap in the bike at the front end of the field. So Tusvig, Hovda and Elvedal are breaking away really, and these 3 are looking really strong on the bike. In 4th position we have Christian Grue. Ex-biathlete, and actually hasn't been doing triathlon for such a long time. He's quite new to triathlon, that's incredible for him to be riding so strongly and so far up the field. Incredible race there. And then as I'm looking down through the race here, we can see Mark Threfell, who came out of the swim in 1st position, as Mark's now finding the bike quite tough, and he's in 13th position at the moment. So long day. The athletes are 4 hours into the ride, and there's still a lot of riding to do. And the thing is, at this stage, a lot can change over the period of the bike into the run. We're looking now at spectacular images of Voringfossen. So Voringfossen's a waterfall in the Mabo Valley, and the riders will ride up alongside here, and it's such a spectacular scenery to be looking down on here. So we're now getting images coming back here. We've got Alan Hovda, and Alan, as we've seen there, is in 2nd position. Alan's riding a really, really advanced bike setup. I spoke to Alan last week, and he was talking to me about his bike setup and how much time and attention he gives to optimising that bike setup to be as aerodynamic as possible. We're also seeing Mark Threfeld here. Mark is nice position, nice and comfortable. On his drop bars, because he's on the climb here, and he's keeping a nice high cadence. You can see he's spinning in the small front chainring as we head up the climbs up towards Dyranut. This is Elvedal, Maris Elvedal, who's currently sitting in 3rd position. Very strong Norwegian athlete. He has finished very high in Norseman in previous years. 5th last year in Norseman, and he's done some really good results this year in Ironman 70.3 Norway. He actually won that race. So watching out for Marcus Elvedal. We're seeing the riders riding along the National Route 7 up on the plateau. Spectacular images coming here. And this is the area where the riders will generally be thinking about just getting comfortable, just feeling their way in the bike, trying to really get smooth and just get themselves into a rhythm. They'll be really trying to think about just getting some nutrition, making sure that they're fueling, drinking, eating, and just getting comfortable and not riding too fast, too early. It's still a long way to go. And these guys are heading from the section from Dyranut to Geilo, which is a 50-kilometre section. And see some riders here nice in a nice aerodynamic time trial position. Some really nice footage of riders moving through the field in that nice smooth aerodynamic position. I think the weather's obviously looking really nice out there, and I think that will be something as the day progresses, and the temperature may lift, and I think some of the athletes might find that weather to be quite tough later on in the day. We can see some beautiful images here of a rider riding straight through the field here, maintaining that really nice aerodynamic time trial position, nice cadence. And we're jumping over to images here of number 42. Number 42 is Hans Christian Tusvig. Hans Christian is currently out in front. He's a very, very, very accomplished and strong athlete. He's now a professional, full-time professional, is Hans Christian. He's done some really, really strong results. He's raced Norseman a few times before, but I think this year he's definitely in the best shape of his life. I had an opportunity to speak to Hans during the week, and he was really, really excited about the prospect of racing Norseman. He was really excited to see what he could do. We're seeing images here of the riders moving up through the old road. It's a really spectacular thing to be riding through. Number 45 there, Mark Threfeld. Mark led the swim. And you can see Mark's now out on the bike course, and some of the athletes have now caught up. And it's now all about how strongly you can ride your bike. These athletes will be just focusing on getting their rhythm and just staying really smooth. It's not pushing too hard too early, just getting a nice rhythm. It's really important here as we leave the course, to stay smooth and really get relaxed and feel comfortable. So just to recap again then, we have Hans Christian Tusvig out in front with Alan Hovda and Marcus Elvedal. It's 1, 2, 3 in the X-Tri World Championship race. Still a lot of riding and a lot of racing to do today. We're with Hans Christian Tusvig. He's riding really strong out in front there. Nice, smooth cadence. Looking extremely strong. He is really riding a good, strong bike today. Be very interesting to see how the rest of the field keep up with him.
There you go. You should be completely updated as to what is happening here at the Norseman.